My name is Barry Matheny. Before I joined the Air Force myself, I called Florida home. My father was in the Air Force. I was born at an Air Force base in Georgia, but I went to 13 different schools. Growing up around Air Force bases, I was always seeing aircraft in the sky, loved the fighter jets, loved the B-52 bombers that my father used to be an engine mechanic for. Had great pride in the fact that he was a mechanic for Air Force One under President Nixon. So the Air Force was in my blood. And so when I graduated from high school, it wasn't long before I was headed towards the Air Force myself. And then I stayed in for 28 and a half years. Well, I started out at language school. I studied German for 9 months and then Russian for 3 months. And they sent me over to Western Germany when the Germanys were divided back in 1989. That was still right before the fall of the wall in Berlin. And so I worked over there for a time as a cryptologic linguist technician. Basically, you listen to German and Russian communications for the good guys. Back when all the Germans weren't necessarily good guys, or so we thought back then, and ultimately became an arms control interpreter for the Defense Threat Reduction Agency, and so I did arms control inspections for 3 years. The biggest challenge that I faced came working as an interpreter out of all the jobs that I did during those years, because I knew German, I knew Russian, and at times I would have to do the very quick on-the-spot processing in a room surrounded by colonels and generals, representatives from Russia, Poland, the Republic of Georgia, and trying to keep the language straight that's going in one ear and coming out my mouth in a different language. So very often I felt an awful lot of pressure on that. Some of my hardest days were knowing that I was part of an inspection mission, because as soon as I walked out of my hotel room, I was on the job. One of my favorite memories was a 2-month period where I worked in Kazakhstan out of the United States Embassy in Almaty. During that time, we were supporting arms control teams that would come in, and we were doing a lot of work with the Ministry of Science, Ministry of Defense, and so on. But it just so happened that I befriended the U.S. Marine Corps guards that guard the embassy, who were Little League baseball coaches for a Kazakh baseball team of 10 to 12-year-olds. But they didn't speak a lick of Russian, and I did. So next thing you know, and I'd never coached baseball. I played one season as a 6th grader many years back. Next thing you know, I'm on the sidelines trying to figure out how to coach baseball in Russian to a bunch of Kazakh kids. And only because I had this opportunity to go to language school and learn this was I able to do something like that. And learning the fine Russian words of pitcher and ketchup and things like that. I never knew I was going to have any kind of opportunity like that. And this was when I was maybe 26. You're always very excited to be able to return. So reintegration was always a challenge for us, but it always worthwhile because we grew every time.